Well, hello! I'm lucky enough to review a whole bunch of things, and I did loads last year, and the thing I've used more than anything else, maybe aside from my radio, is this little thing here. It's called the DroneKeeper Mini, and it came from Nichemelt, and I've got a whole review of it which I'll link to up here. I think I've got the angle right. And essentially it's the big fear in flying a mini quad is not crashing it, because you can pick it up, you can fix it. It's crashing it and then the battery disconnecting, and then you're like, ooh, where is it? Because if the battery stays intact, I'm very confident of finding it. I can use telemetry, I can use my goggles with a directional antenna, I've got the beeper on board, that sort of thing. I will get it back pretty easy. If that battery goes, then all those ways of finding it go, and you have to think, where was it, can I find it? And if you've flown little quads before, you'll be aware with how easily they can disappear. So this thing was great. Basically what I do in all my flights, I have a battery with a little rubber band. I stick it in a battery like that. It doesn't matter if it's underslung or on top. I switch it on just before I take off, and if I go down, this will start beeping, and that's great. Now I found out having something like this gives you a lot more confidence, because even subconsciously, if you're worried about, well, what if my battery comes out, you will be a lot more timid in your flying. So having this was absolutely fantastic, and I genuinely use it on every flight I do, both in quads and little planes that I keep close in. I reviewed this, I had this in board. I mean, if I'm going to go like a kilometre away, then it's less good, but still in a field in long grass, a plane of this size can easily disappear. You'd be surprised. But there was a problem. As it started out, when I first reviewed them, the postage to get one of these from South Korea was like, it's a bit pricey. It wasn't too bad though. I think it was something like $12 to get it shipped. And I sort of suggested you might want to do like a forum buy and all get together. What happened in South Korea is the law changed about the shipping of lithium-based batteries, of which this is one in here, and you recharge it via this little USB adapter and you can program it. And when that happened, the only place that would ship these is FedEx, and the shipping became more expensive than one of these, and so these became less popular, which is a shame, because there's no other product quite like it. I reviewed the locator, where you get one of these and this locator thing, and after reviewing it I used it precisely 0 times, because it was just not as good and not as simple as one of these. But there's been a fix, usefully. Nichemelt have discontinued the DroneKeeper Mini and come out with the DroneKeeper Micro, which they've been kind enough to send me, and it comes in this nice little bag, and it's this blue thing. And they also sent me this, which is the programmer for it, and this, which is a charger for it. Kind of more of this later. Now, the way this gets around the problem of the lithium battery is the fact that it doesn't have a battery in it. You put in it a little LR44 cell, which goes in the top there. You put the top on, wind it up, and it's on, basically, and after 30 seconds this will beep. This is its beep sound. Trust me when I say it is pretty damn loud. There's a sort of speaker, well, it's not a speaker, but the sound comes out here, so it's quite easy to block, so don't bury it in somewhere so it doesn't work. And you can turn it off by just half twisting the top, and it's off. And it's about the same loudness as this, same functions. It's got the movement sensor in, and you can program it to change the timers slightly. Now, one advantage over this is it always warns you about not squashing this down, because this is like plastic and it's basically heat shrink around a bunch of components. This is metal, I presume it's aluminium. It feels very strong, and you can sandwich it in with a piece of Velcro or something and get that really nicely stuck down, which is quite good. Now, the battery charger. Now this was a bit weird. If you look at the little instructions from Nichemelt, it says you can use an LR44, that's your sort of one-shot battery. You use it, it dies, you replace it. Or you can use a 3.6 volt LR1254. Now the LR1254 is apparently the lithium-ion rechargeable battery, which you can put in this and charge with this. My problem was that I looked on Google expecting to be able to just pick one of these batteries up easily, and I've been unable to. I can buy them in units of 10,000 from Alibaba, but there's nothing on like even AliExpress, or I just expected to pick this up eBay easily. So perhaps you can go down to your average corner shop in South Korea and pick up one of these batteries. I've been unable to find it, but for now I'll be testing with the LR44, and I expect it's going to work exactly the same way, but let's see what program options we've got, and let's go out and fly it and see how loud the beep is and see how easy it is to find. Welcome to the close-up camera where we were taking a look at some of the options on this, and let's just turn it on first. I'll show you what you get first. So what you got there is 3 beeps, and they each mean something. The first beep tells you if you're using a normal LR44 cell, that's 1 beep. 2 beeps means you're using a rechargeable cell. The second beep, which is again a single beep, tells you when the beepers actually go off. So if there's no movement for 30 seconds, this will start beeping. 2 beeps is 1 minute, 3 beeps is 3 minutes, 4 beeps is 5 minutes, and 5 beeps means 6 minutes. It's the last option which is always interesting, because a bunch of people picked up previously, because this has a movement sensor in it, and whenever you see a flash every 2 seconds, it means it's detected movement. If we keep it very still, it will only flash once every 5 seconds, and that means I'm still alive, but I'm not detecting any movement. Anyway, a bunch of people on the last one rightly said, and thanks for pointing it out, what happens if my quad gets stuck up a tree with this on it and the tree's waving around in the wind? This is surely just never going to beep because of that. Brilliant catch there, guys, and I really do appreciate people picking this up, because if I missed a flaw in something, please point it out. And this comes down to this third beep. What is that third beep for? This is basically it's the alarm timer. So the default on this is if you turn it on and it keeps having motion, so let's say it's on a quad and the quad is stuck in a tree, after 20 minutes this will start beeping anyway. And you can change that to either 40 minutes or 60 minutes. For me, 20 minutes is probably about right. For the sort of flights I'm doing on a quad, I don't ever expect to get more than 5 minutes tops, so that's not a problem. But anyway, I thought I'd just show how you change this using the little adapter. So this is the curious little thing you get. It's USB here, and this goes in the top. It's USB because it needs to supply power to it, because when you open up the top to get into it, you have to remove the battery. So let's plug this in. Okay, and you can tell it's got power because you've got a blue light. Now this is quite weird to put inside. Firstly, we need to take the top off this and put that somewhere else. What this has inside here, if hopefully that focuses, is lots of little contacts as well as 3 pins that have to fit over the 3 holes there, which is a little bit awkward to align first, but it's especially when you're doing it in a camera's viewfinder, I find, but it should be something like that. And what happens is you need to just slightly push it on to get power like this. You'll notice that it gave 2 beeps at the start because it thinks it's on a rechargeable battery, because it's obviously getting more voltage in. But once you press this down, you can then change this is the timer for the alarm. So I'm going to set this to 1 minute instead of 30 seconds. And when we just move out and give power again, we get the different thing. Now, to change it for the alarm timer, you have to press the button down, then press the contact in, and then press the button again. So you get 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, back to 1. But I'm leaving that at 20 minutes. So if we now put the battery back in, screw it up, we should get a 1, 2, 1 beep. Just like that. So I tend to think for the majority of people, this thing's probably not necessary. The default of 30 seconds for this to alarm if there's no movement, and 20 minutes for it to alarm anyway is probably quite good. I've just changed this to 1 minute because occasionally when I turn this on, I'm I put my quad down, I get my goggles on. If I need to just mess with something else, it can go slightly above the 30 seconds, so 1 minute works pretty well there for me. Anyway, let's actually test this thing out, shall we, and see how it does in the field. Hello, welcome to the field where it's uncharacteristically quite a sunny day today. Lovely. I've got the little DroneKeeper Micro, which I'm going to try sticking on this here quad. I'm then going to fly it over those bushes there, and then we'll listen out, see if we can hear anything. Now previously I did this with the DroneKeeper Mini and it was long dry grass, which was a really good test. This is mostly puddles, so I can't just ditch it anywhere and go find it. It has to be a little bit, well, it's always a little bit fake anyway, but essentially I'm going to put it out of normal earshot of a beeper and try and simulate what would happen if I didn't have a battery, and see if we can just pick up the noise from this tiny little thing, which that's that little noise. Let's find out. So we're off in the air to go and ditch this, and this is the Diatone Tyrant S with the quite terrible 3.6mm lens. So half the time I do feel quite lost in the field anyway, because the field of view is so narrow. But anyway, I'm just going to do this once, and I say this because if you want to see different versions of me dropping a quad in the field and then finding it, watch the previous video on the DroneKeeper Mini, as I did it several times there in several different environments to see how it goes. As I mentioned, because the field is just so soggy and horrible, I didn't want to just ditch it down in random places because I would cake this thing in mud and wetness. So we're just going to plonk it down here in some bushes. Okay, literally just put it down. I think it's over in the corner as I was following along, so I'm going to start walking, see when we can hear the beep. It's been about 20 seconds, so I'd expect it to start going off fairly soon. And yeah, let's see what we find. This is seriously squelchy. Yeah, I can start hearing it now. Sometimes with these things you've got to slightly turn your head. But yeah, basically in that general direction, as expected, we can hear a beep, which is not bad range. Of course, we're pretending that our batteries come out and we don't have a normal beeper and we can't use telemetry or video signal to get there. And obviously I kind of know where it is, but I'm going to try and follow the beep sound. You can see just how bad this field is. That's why I was quite picky about where I was trying to put it. There's lots of places you just don't want to land. Well, quite a strong beep from here. As you get close to these things, you get more of a direction. At first it's kind of sort of just a noise on the wind, but closing in, it's really quite distinct. So we can hear it quite nicely over here. Quite different from a normal sort of quad beeper. Ugh. Not actually as dry here as I thought. There it is. So it's not, I couldn't put it anything too deep, but that is ear-piercingly loud. I'm going to unplug the main battery. Now, quite importantly, the only way these turn off is doing it manually. Which on this is a little bit of a twist here. And it's shut up. Oh, I better go back to my gear before someone arrives and steals it. Now, as I said, I didn't want to do loads and loads of tests of this one because it's essentially the same as the DroneKeeper Mini in terms of its usage. So take a look at the DroneKeeper mini video again if you want to see me basically ditching a quad loads and loads of times in a field and going to find it, because it will look the same. So a couple of little stats about how long the beeper should actually beep for. Using the little LR44s, the disposable batteries, it should go for about 2.4 hours. That's obviously on a full battery, which should be enough time to find your quad, else your quad is buried pretty deep somewhere. Standby wise, you're looking at about 98 hours. So you shouldn't have to change it too often. When you think most of our flights are going to be under 5 minutes, that's quite a lot of flying. That said, I'd always have a spare battery around. The rechargeable ones, if you can actually get one, should beep for about 2.7 hours continuously, or go for about 30 hours on standby. Bit different now, I don't know why. Now, I've sat on this review for about a month. I've had this a while because I thought surely I'd be able to get one of these batteries. I'm still having issues. I can now buy them in quantity of 100, which is a bit better. I've still got problems finding individual ones. If you know where to get them, please let me know. This to me is a brilliant little invention, and I will be using it, and of course the previous DroneKeeper minis on my quads every time I fly, because it's so easy just to slot it in a rubber band or whatever. I mean, Nishmal have using little 3M dual lock to put one side and the other. You can put them on micro quads. You can get them in better places. They've also come up with a few designs so you can 3D print a couple of things just to sort of slot them on a frame or loop them into a battery strap, which I may well do, or I may well just use a rubber band. I mean, the only one time the rubber band went and this fell off, I could just hear it beeping in the field, so I just went and got it anyway, so it wasn't really a problem. But yeah, I do think these are really good. So these aren't particularly cheap at about $33, but if you've wandered round and round and round a field knowing that your quad is just in it somewhere but you can't find it, then that's not a bad amount of money. So yeah, some links are down below about where to get these. Of course, if you're using something different, and I'm talking about specifically for quads, we're talking about within sort of several hundred meters where you don't need a GPS system or some low frequency directional finder stuff to try and find it. If you're using something else which you think works really nicely when the battery comes out, please let me know about it, and I'll see if I can get hold of it and test it out and see how it goes. But that's all from me for now. This is the DroneKeeper Micro, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.
Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.